Hi everyone, this is Vlad from Modulus Render, and in today's tutorial we're going to do the lighting for this scene using SketchUp and TheaRendere. First of all, let's take a look around the SketchUp scene. It's a simple room with some furniture from Galotti and Radice. We're going to try to do an evening light. We're going to do some warm lights and very dark colors in the room. Everything will be dark, and I just want the sofa to stand out. We'll make it like a bright yellow or something. So let's see how we can start doing this. Let's start Thea and see what we have so far. And this is how the rendering looks. It's really, really dark. We just have an emissive material on this light and on a spotlight on the ceiling, and some cove lighting behind that mirror, but it's pretty dark. Now it's so dark because if we take a look in the environment tab, I'm not using any exterior lighting, so there's no sky and there's no sun or image-based lighting, so there's no color outside, there's no light whatsoever coming in from the outside, because I just want to control every aspect of the lighting and of the shadows from inside the room. And for that, I'm going to use some plain lights. Let's stop Thea for now and take a look in SketchUp and see how we can set up the lighting. So first of all, I want to set up a light that would mimic the outside light coming in. So it's going to be around here where the window is, or where the curtains are. So I've put these two types of lights on the layer. Now I want to make another separate layer for that and call it cold light. And this one, we'll make another layer and say warm light. Okay, so let's start with the cold light. Now these are a bunch of rectangles that are moved around in order to cast the light in slightly different directions. This thing will cause the light to look more diffused or more natural, and the shadow will be really, really soft. We'll basically have a lot of shadows coming from all these light sources, and the shadows will mix and give us a nice smooth shadow on the wall. Now the material I used for this light panel that I called cold light is just a very blue tone for the light with 100 watts power. Let's see how the scene looks just with this light on. And now we see the impact that this light has on the whole scene. So it basically mimics the blue night sky coming in through the curtains. And it has a huge impact on the scene. But now it's looking pretty cold. That's why it's called a cold light, right? It's really blue, and it fills up the room with this blue tone. And now we need another light, or another plain light, a warm tone that would bring some balance and some warmth into the image. And for that, we have the warm light. It's basically the same light plane, but with another material. We have a very orange looking color over here. Temperature is 2700 Kelvin, I guess. Yeah, Kelvin. And 250 watts. So this will bring a nice balance to the blue light that's coming in from the window. So with these two enabled, let's see how the scene looks. Now the scene is looking a lot better with the warm light coming in. You can see it over here on this side of the furniture and on the wall. It makes a good balance with the blue light coming in from the left. Now, I'd like to add some interesting lighting in the center of the image, and I want to use textures to do this. So using textures as lighting in the scene is similar to having gobo lights as a photographer. So I found this texture, which is really low quality, but it serves its purpose. And I want this projected on the wall here in the back because I want it to look like there's light coming in from the outside through some blinds, right? There's a curtain there, but we can't see the curtain in the final image, so nobody knows there's a curtain over there. So I'm going to make it look like we have light coming in through blinds that are in the window. And I'm going to use another texture for the light that touches the sofa from this light fixture. And I found this texture. It's actually, this is a street light, so it's not really physically accurate, but it will give us some nice variation in the colors of the light on the sofa and probably on the wall over here. So let's see how that looks in SketchUp. We're gonna turn on the layer that has texture lights. And here I've put two projectors, right? Two projector lights, one facing the wall. This will be the blinds that are gonna appear on the wall, and one that will cast the other light, the yellow one, over here on the sofa. So for this one, it's 100 watts, and I've added the image, the JPEG, the gobo blinds, and this one has the other image, and it's 100 watts. So let's see how the scene looks now with all these lights. I just want to change the angle a little bit. Something like this. Okay. Now we can see the effect of these projector lights. We have more color over here by the sofa. There's more of a variation in the light. And then over here we have those blinds or light coming through the blinds effect that's projected here on the wall, and it touches the sofa too. I want to change the color of the sofa, so I want to make it a little bit brighter and to stand out more in the scene. And for that, I'm going to use the layering system in the Thea materials because it's really easy to tweak them. So as you can see here, for the velvet material, let me just make it bigger. In the diffuse channel, I have a mix between a roughness map and a color. Now, I want to add more color. So this is already 100%. I'm going to make another layer. I'm just going to duplicate the layer. And here, I'm just going to use the color. Without the mix. So now we just have on this layer a yellow color. And on the top layer, we have a Fresnel ramp to resemble the velvet effect. And now we can play with this, maybe 50%, to make a mix between these two layers. Because I don't want the roughness map to show up so strongly, right? I don't want it to be so obvious on the sofa in here. So I'm gonna leave this at around 50%. And For the top layer, we don't need bump. This is the final image that I would like to render, and now we can take a look at the camera settings. So here we have the exposure set to filmic, highlights 85, shadows 15. The ISO, which controls the brightness, I've set it to 400 and the shutter speed to 100. Now, if you want to make the scene brighter, you just increase the ISO. But 400 works for me. Now, another thing that I'd like to do is apply a lookup table or a LUT file. And for that, you can click here, LUT, and enable the effect. And let's see which one looks good. You can change these and basically have your final render with color grading straight from Thea. I think I'm going to use this one because I like how it enhances the yellow tones. Okay. And we can render the final image. And now for the production render settings, I usually use 1500 samples and I turn off super sampling. And of course, with some denoising. So for this one, I use 30% the optics denoiser. And this is basically it. We can just hit render and see what we get. Now this is the final image that I did using this technique. I hope you found this information useful. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.